Inviting you to Maple Leaf Hockey Talks.
We'd been written out of the playoffs the first part of March. There was 2 or 3 weeks left in the season, and we were trailing New York Rangers by 10 or 12 points.
The voice of star defenseman Tim Horton, recalling a time in Maple Leaf history which appeared to him as an all-time low. But it turned out to be the beginning of one of the brightest eras in the long and exciting history of the Maple Leaf Club. But the time Tim is recalling was a long way from his hometown of Cochrane, Ontario, where he first learned to skate and to play hockey.
I was born in Cochrane, Ontario on January the 12th, 1930, and played most of my minor hockey in Cochrane. Actually, it was high school hockey and grade school hockey, because in those days they didn't have the organized hockey that they have today. When I was 15 years old, the family moved from Cochrane to Sudbury, Ontario, and this is actually where I played my first organized hockey. I played also in the high school league, and the following year we played with a junior A team called Copper Cliff Redmond.
Tim's career was one of steady promise and progress, up through the ranks, a berth on the winning team of St. Michael's College, and then to the Leafs American League Farm Club.
When I was 17, I came down to St. Michael's College here in Toronto on an athletic scholarship and played at St. Mike's for 2 years. I had a year of junior hockey remaining when I turned professional and went to play in Pittsburgh.
Then at last, a call to join the big league. But it was an ailing team at that time, a far cry from the illustrious clubs of the early 1960s.
Back in 1957-58, I think we finished in the cellar for the first time in the Maple Leaf Hockey Club's history, and they were trying to institute a policy of, I suppose it was another youth movement, as they had had back in the early 50s, and perhaps the problem was that they had too many young players and not enough old players, and I think that you have to have a mixture of the younger fellows and the older fellows, kind of a maturity in there, a balance that is very necessary. We didn't have it in those years, and when Mr. Imlach came along and took over the hockey club, they had made a couple of very important trades. One was getting Bert Olmsted, another was getting Red Kelly, getting Alan Stanley, and getting Johnny Bauer. These are 4 fellows that were likely the most important players on our team in the early 60s. Along with this, Davy Keon came out of junior, and Carl Brewer came out of junior, and it was very close to the time Frank came up too. So all in all, there were a lot of good young hockey players and very good older hockey players, and from there on, things improved very much.
New coach, new players, a new page in Toronto Maple Leaf history. Things did improve indeed and paved the way to Tim Horton's most exciting hockey memory.
We'd been written out of the playoffs the first part of March. There was 2 or 3 weeks left in the season, and we were trailing New York Rangers by 10 or 12 points. And finally, with 5 games to go in the year, I think it was, we were behind New York by 7 points with 5 games remaining. And it was one of those things where we won our 5 hockey games and New York lost their 5 hockey games. And to the astonishment of the hockey world, we made the playoffs. We went on from there and beat out Boston in the semifinals and played Montreal in the finals. And I think that would have to rate as the greatest thrill of my hockey career.
This win over Detroit tonight is a culmination of a long, hard drive to get into the playoffs, when most of the hockey experts had written them off. I can't help but think the spirit and drive put on by this Leaf team this year will go down in the annals of the Maple Leaf Hockey Club as one of their finest moments in a great sport. They are truly a Cinderella team, and it augurs well for the future.
From then on, it was one long road to victory, and in the 1961-62 season, the Leafs hit the top.
Back in the 1961-1962 Stanley Cup playoffs, which was the first year we won the Stanley Cup, I don't think in any series of hockey games have I ever felt more excited or up for hockey games, and it just happened to be one of those periods that you hit every once in a while during a hockey season when every time you shoot at the net, the puck goes in and you score a goal, and if not, somebody else deflects it and you get an assist on the play. At that time, I guess there is a record that I did set then, and this seemed to be the way it was, and every time you attempted to do something, it worked out right for you.
Tim's career now stretches over 14 years with the Maple Leafs, and the seasoned star is entitled to do a little philosophizing about hockey as a career and life as a professional player.
Playing hockey is a full-time job, but on the other hand, you do have a lot of spare time. And I think going to school and education would be a perfect tie-in. You've got something to think about, and you don't just go to movies and become bored with life and to live from hockey practice to hockey game to hockey practice.
As a young player, you can't get better advice or follow a better example than that set by Tim Horton. He's not only an outstanding athlete, but also a man of many interests with the ability to speak clearly on many things and contribute fully to the community in which he lives.